The delivery truck rolled to a stop in front of the tallest glass building in the city just as the morning sun painted the streets with golden light. Employees in expensive suits laughed quietly as they watched a tired single father lift heavy grocery boxes onto a small cart with hands rough from years of hard work. Some whispered that he looked too worn out to belong there. Others mocked the old sneakers on his feet and the faded delivery uniform he wore every day. None of them noticed the little girl waiting patiently inside the truck, finishing her homework while smiling proudly at her father. None of them could have imagined that before sunset, the same man they laughed at would become the reason a billionaire CEO stood on his own feet for the first time in 17 years. If you believe kindness can change lives and that every person deserves a second chance, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone you love, and subscribe to Single Dad Speaks. Your support helps these heartfelt stories reach more people around the world. Caleb Turner had never expected life to become so difficult. 5 years earlier, he had lost his wife to a sudden illness, leaving him alone to raise his 9-year-old daughter, Nora. Every morning before sunrise, Caleb loaded groceries into his delivery van while Nora quietly packed her schoolbooks. Since he could not afford childcare, she often accompanied him before school, reading books inside the truck while he completed his deliveries. Their life was simple, filled with sacrifices that nobody ever saw. Caleb skipped meals so Nora could enjoy healthy lunches. He patched his own clothes instead of buying new ones because every spare dollar went toward rent, school supplies, and keeping hope alive. Despite everything, Caleb never allowed bitterness to enter his heart. He greeted every customer with a smile, thanked every security guard, and treated every stranger with respect. Most people barely noticed him, but those who did often remembered his gentle kindness long after he had driven away. One of Caleb's regular delivery locations was the headquarters of Mercer Global Industries, a company worth billions. Its legendary founder, Victor Ashcroft, had not walked in 17 years after a devastating spinal injury caused by a helicopter crash. The accident had taken away not only his ability to stand but also much of his joy. Doctors from around the world had tried experimental treatments, expensive therapies, and revolutionary surgeries, but none had succeeded. Victor remained confined to a wheelchair, surrounded by wealth that could buy almost everything except the one miracle he wanted most. Every Tuesday morning, Caleb delivered fresh groceries to the executive dining floor. Employees often ignored him, while some openly mocked his worn appearance. They assumed a grocery driver could never understand success, leadership, or sacrifice. Caleb simply smiled, signed the paperwork, and continued working. One bright morning, everything changed because of a small accident. As Caleb pushed his cart through the lobby, one of the wheels caught on a cracked tile. A heavy crate slipped, sending fruit rolling across the polished marble floor. Several executives laughed instead of helping. One even recorded the embarrassing moment on a phone. Caleb quietly knelt to gather the scattered apples while trying to hide his embarrassment from Nora, who had just stepped inside carrying her backpack. Before anyone else reacted, Victor Ashcroft wheeled himself forward. Without saying a word, he bent awkwardly from his wheelchair and picked up one of the fallen apples. He handed it to Nora with a warm smile that she had not seen from an adult stranger in years. Caleb thanked him sincerely, and for the first time in months, Victor felt someone looking at him not as a billionaire or a disabled man, but simply as another human being. That brief encounter sparked an unexpected friendship. During future deliveries, Victor invited Caleb to spend a few minutes sharing coffee before returning to work. Caleb never asked for favors or money. Instead, he listened. Victor spoke honestly about loneliness, frustration, and the exhausting feeling of watching the world move while he remained still. Caleb responded not with medical advice but with stories of raising Nora, surviving grief, and finding reasons to smile after unimaginable loss. As weeks passed, Victor noticed something remarkable. Caleb naturally encouraged movement without realizing it. Whenever Victor reached for a coffee mug, Caleb waited patiently instead of handing it over immediately. When Victor stretched to shake his hand, Caleb celebrated every tiny improvement. His quiet optimism slowly awakened something inside Victor that expensive therapists had failed to inspire. Victor asked his rehabilitation specialists to observe Caleb's interactions. They noticed that emotional motivation dramatically increased Victor's effort during therapy sessions. Inspired by Caleb's unwavering belief, the medical team redesigned the rehabilitation program to focus not only on physical recovery but also on confidence, purpose, and meaningful human connection. Months passed under bright blue skies as Victor worked harder than ever before. Every small improvement became another reason to keep going. Caleb continued delivering groceries exactly as before, never realizing that his compassion had become the greatest medicine of all. Then came a beautiful spring afternoon. The company's annual charity event filled the headquarters plaza with employees, families, reporters, and local children. Caleb had arrived early with grocery supplies for the event, while Nora volunteered at the children's reading booth. The crowd gathered as Victor prepared to deliver a speech celebrating community service. Halfway through his remarks, Victor paused. He looked toward Caleb standing quietly near the refreshment table. The crowd followed his gaze in complete silence. Victor placed both hands firmly on the arms of his wheelchair. His therapists watched anxiously. His breathing became heavier. Every second felt endless. Slowly, painfully, Victor pushed upward. His legs trembled violently. The crowd gasped. For one unforgettable moment, nobody breathed. Then Victor stood. Not perfectly. Not effortlessly. But completely on his own. Tears streamed down countless faces as thunderous applause echoed across the plaza. Nora cried openly while Caleb stood frozen, unable to believe what he was witnessing. The same executives who had once laughed at the grocery delivery driver now lowered their heads in shame. Victor took one shaky step before embracing Caleb with tears filling his eyes. He later explained that doctors had helped rebuild his body, but Caleb had rebuilt his spirit. After 17 years of believing he would never stand again, hope had finally become stronger than fear. News of the miracle spread across the country. Yet Caleb refused television interviews praising him as a hero. The following morning, he was back inside his delivery truck before sunrise, smiling as always, delivering groceries with the same humility that had changed a life. Victor quietly established a foundation providing free rehabilitation therapy for struggling families, naming it after Caleb and Nora. Thousands of people who could never have afforded treatment finally received the opportunity to fight for their own miracles. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with your friends and family, leave a heartfelt comment, and subscribe to Single Dad Speaks so more inspiring stories of hope and kindness can reach people who need them most. Special request, comment. Kindness creates miracles. If you believe one compassionate heart can change another person's entire life. The world often celebrates wealth, power, and success, but the greatest miracles are usually born from quiet acts of kindness that nobody expects. The people who mocked Caleb judged him by his uniform, yet they never saw the strength hidden beneath it. In the end, the grocery boxes he carried were never as heavy as the hope he carried inside his heart. And sometimes, that hope is powerful enough to help someone stand again after 17 long years.